Success doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't show up just because you want it, dream about it, or hope you get lucky. Success is earned, built through consistent decisions, daily discipline, and internal shifts that reshape who you are. Most people chase surface goals, money, status, approval, but never ask what real success demands. Not the quick wins or temporary highs, but the deeper principles that change how you think, act, and lead yourself every day. Because if your mindset doesn't change, neither will your results. If you don't upgrade the way you think, you'll keep living beneath what you're capable of. Success isn't a strategy. It's a mindset. And mindset shows up not just when things go well, but especially when they don't. You can absorb all the knowledge in the world, but without the internal framework that supports it, nothing sticks. You'll keep riding the highs and crashing with the lows. But true success isn't built on comfort. It's built on something unshakable. That begins inside. That's why so many capable people never break through. They've got the skill and drive, but not the foundation. Because success isn't about pushing harder. It's about thinking differently. And once these shifts click, everything changes. Motivation fades, but momentum builds. Fear loosens. Excuses shrink. You stop reacting and start leading. The power in these lessons isn't in the inspiration. They demand something from you. They reset your standard, confront your patterns, and hold you to the version of yourself you've been avoiding. But once you embrace them, you don't go back. You don't shrink for others' comfort. You don't lower your goals to match your old habits. You rise. Over and over again, these aren't just ideas. They're a new lens, a new foundation. They're for the ones done waiting. The ones ready now. The ones who've decided to own their future, no matter what it takes. The first life-altering lesson to achieve real success is this. Your standards, not your goals or intentions, determine your outcome. You never rise above your standards. You rise or fall to the level of what you tolerate. You can have big dreams and detailed visions, but if your daily habits still reflect who you used to be, you'll stay stuck. Excuses, distractions, and low-effort environments will keep pulling you back unless your standards push you forward. Your standards are revealed in your smallest choices. How you speak about your goals, how you respond to discomfort, how you act when no one's watching. They're not the goals you chase. They're the lines you no longer cross. The new minimum you refuse to dip below. People often mistake ambition for identity. But wanting success isn't the same as living like the person who earns it. Desire without discipline leads to disappointment. And discipline without high standards leads to stagnation. Discipline has to be grounded in something deeper. Your standards. High standards aren't easy. They demand consistency when you're tired, clarity when life gets noisy, action when fear shows up. But they're transformative. Because when your standard rises, your identity follows. And your results shift too. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Waking up and deciding that the old version of you is no longer the reference point. That the life you want comes from who you're becoming, not who you've been. You don't get the life you dream of. You get the life your behavior matches. So if your reality isn't what you want, check your standard. Check what you've allowed. True standards are built on what's necessary, not what's convenient. They demand consistency, intentionality, and follow through when no one's watching. You'll know your standards have changed when skipping your habits doesn't feel like rest. It feels like regression. That shift in baseline changes everything. Your confidence, your energy, your clarity, because you've stopped negotiating with distractions. You're in alignment. Others may not get it. They'll question your seriousness, your discipline. But you won't feel the need to explain because you've chosen growth over approval. You've decided that comfort is not your priority. Integrity is. And that choice doesn't just shift your routine. It shifts your language, your posture, your presence. You don't hope. You move. You don't wait. You align. You lead yourself. That's real power. Doing the work because it's who you are, not because someone's watching. When that's true, success isn't a question of if. It's a matter of time. Because people who live by high standards attract and sustain the opportunities they once only hoped for. The world treats you how you treat yourself. Low standards produce low energy, low results. But when your standards rise, so does everything around you. Your conversations, your circle, your outcomes. Let your life speak. Let your consistency be the evidence. Raise your standards. And watch everything else follow. The second life-altering lesson to achieve ultimate success is this. Your environment shapes your future more than your intentions ever will. It doesn't matter how committed you are or how big your goals are. If you're surrounded by the wrong energy, you won't win. Not consistently. Not long-term. Environment isn't just who's around you. It's what becomes normal. It's the habits you absorb, the conversations you hear, the energy you adapt to. And most people never evolve because they stay in rooms that keep them small. If your circle tolerates excuses, you'll make more of them. If it glorifies comfort, you'll keep shrinking your goals to fit. Growth cannot happen where your limitations are constantly validated. You can't become your best self in a room where ambition is mocked and mediocrity is celebrated. And yet most people stay, not out of desire, but out of fear. Fear of rejection, of loneliness, of being misunderstood. But the real danger isn't being alone. It's staying stuck in misalignment. Nothing will cost you more than being surrounded by the wrong people. You need to get around people who expect more. People who won't let you drift. People who challenge your language, your habits, your standards. They don't applaud potential. They demand action. And that pressure. It doesn't feel good, but it will change you. The right environment forces you to elevate. Complaining feels out of place. Laziness becomes uncomfortable. Hiding no longer works. You're exposed. And in that exposure, you're held accountable to who you said you wanted to be. In that space, you realize the problem was never your capability. It was the energy you were fighting to grow inside of. You weren't broken. You were in the wrong environment. One that kept you distracted, small, and misaligned. So you make the hard call. Not to prove something, but to honor something. Your future. You walk out of the wrong rooms and into the right ones, even if it means being alone for a season. Because real alignment starts with separation. Eventually, you start building your own space. One conversation, one standard, one decision at a time. It won't be perfect, but it'll be yours. Honest, focused, real. And real is where the transformation sticks. You don't need applause. You need alignment. You don't need crowds. You need clarity. And your environment will either support your standard or sabotage it. Be intentional. Audit who you let in, what you allow, and what you normalize. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every room deserves your presence. And not every relationship survives your elevation. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. The higher you rise, the tighter your circle must become. You can't keep explaining your goals to people who've never had one. You can't afford to shrink every time the room gets uncomfortable. So build the room. Fill it with honesty, with consistency, with people who don't just talk about success, but live in a way that demands it. That's how your environment becomes your advantage. And that's how you grow. The third life-altering lesson to achieve ultimate success is this. You are always one decision away from a completely different life. Not one lucky break. Not a perfect plan. One decision. Most people never make it. Not because they can't, but because they wait. They wait for clarity, confidence, guarantees. But success doesn't wait. It rewards movement. It follows decisions. The people who win are the ones who stop overthinking and start choosing. They don't wait to feel ready. They act. They stop replaying worst-case scenarios and start creating momentum. They stop wishing and start shifting. You don't need to see the whole road. Just take the next step. Clarity comes from movement, not thought. Confidence is built through action, not affirmation. You find alignment by committing, not by analyzing every outcome. But most people drift in indecision. They say they want change, but leave escape routes open. They talk about growth, but cling to patterns, habits, and people they should have outgrown. And that's why nothing shifts. You can't evolve while protecting the past. Real decisions demand a clean cut. They feel different. They shift how you move, how you speak, how you show up. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop postponing your potential. You stop playing small. You start moving like someone who's chosen. And that choice becomes a mindset, a standard. It gets tested by doubt, by pressure, by people who won't understand. But if it's real, you won't fold. You might adjust, but you won't retreat. You delete the fallback plan, you burn the backup. You say yes to your future so clearly that no version of the past has permission to stay. That kind of decision frees you. It ends hesitation. It kills the noise. It changes your language. Maybe it becomes I will. Hopefully becomes it's done. That's how leaders are born. Not by waiting for the right moment, but by making the moment right. Not by chasing confidence, but by choosing responsibility. Not by planning forever, but by acting now. One step, one standard, one shift at a time. Readiness doesn't come before the leap. It comes after. It's built in motion. And the courage to move before you feel certain unlocks strength, momentum, clarity. Things hesitation could never give you. Success isn't built on perfect conditions. It's built on powerful decisions. On choosing what matters and cutting what doesn't. Saying no to distractions. No to energy leaks. No to people, patterns, and habits that pull you back. One decision. One aligned, irreversible decision. That's what creates change. That's what builds real success. Not fantasy. Not luck. Just bold commitment and action. The fourth life-altering lesson to achieve ultimate success is this. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you repeat. You can have the clearest goals and most powerful mindset, but if your behavior is inconsistent, so are your results. It's not about what you do once. It's about what you do daily. Repetition builds identity. Repetition creates results. You can't build success on intention alone. You build it by doing the right things until they're not effort, they're identity. Until showing up isn't optional. It's who you are. Until discipline becomes automatic and excellence becomes your baseline. Most people run on motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It shows up strong and disappears fast. If you depend on it, your progress will always be inconsistent. That's why repetition matters more. It rewires your brain, strengthens your habits, and makes consistency second nature. Success isn't about intensity, it's about frequency. Anyone can be great for a day. Winners are great repeatedly. They don't just aim for a result. They build systems, structure, and routines that deliver. They follow through without needing hype. Their consistency is their advantage. You'll know you've grown when the things that once felt hard now feel natural. When acting in alignment no longer feels forced. That shift isn't from sudden talent. It's from repeated commitment. Consistency reshapes who you are. It clarifies your steps. It silences hesitation. You just act. That's where confidence is built. Not from pretending, but from proving. You show up for yourself and realize your life is no longer reactive. It's deliberate. And that creates peace because now you don't wait for conditions, you create them. But consistency isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things again and again. You pick what matters and you build your rhythm around it. You stop chasing novelty and start chasing mastery. Repetition doesn't mean boring, it means committed. Most people never reach that level. They confuse excitement with meaning. They chase variety and lose discipline. But the ones who win understand that results come from rhythm, not bursts of energy. They show up when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when no one's watching. That's when transformation locks in. When discipline is no longer punishment, but your path. When excellence becomes your expectation, not the exception. When success isn't a goal. It's a byproduct of how you live. You don't get what you hope for. You get what you do over and over. Your results reflect your rhythm. Your life reflects your habits. So if you want change, start there. Tighten your behavior. Build a rhythm that reflects who you're becoming. When your repetition aligns with your vision, success becomes automatic. And when your habits match your identity, you don't just chase success. You live in it. The fifth life-altering lesson to achieve ultimate success is this. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the strength of your systems. It's not enough to want more. If your life runs on emotion, random effort, and reactive habits, you'll burn out before you ever break through. Everyone talks about vision. Few back it with structure. What separates those who win isn't ambition. It's how they operate behind the scenes. It's their rhythm, their discipline, their process. Success isn't built on hype. It's engineered through consistency. Systems are how you win. Most people aren't lazy. They're unstructured. They have no framework to execute, no calendar to support discipline, no feedback loop to track growth. They rely on how they feel. But emotion is inconsistent. Systems eliminate that. Systems protect your energy, preserve your focus, and simplify execution. A strong system doesn't have to be complicated, just intentional. It's your morning routine, your non-negotiables, your mental boundaries, your priorities scheduled. It's the 1,000 small decisions made in advance, so your day runs on alignment, not on stress. Without a system, life feels chaotic. One distraction can knock you out. But with the system, you keep going. You're grounded. You show up with clarity even when things go sideways. Systems build resilience. They keep you in motion when emotion would have made you stop. High performers don't rely on willpower. They rely on systems. They remove friction, pre-decide behaviors, eliminate unnecessary choices. That's what gives them peace. They're not guessing, they're executing. They're not reacting, they're leading. When life hits you, you don't spiral. You recalibrate. Your system holds you steady. That's real strength. Not just height, but sustainability. It's what allows you to keep growing without burning out. You've heard it before. If you don't schedule your values, your calendar will schedule your distractions. Without systems, your day gets hijacked. But when you lead with structure, everything aligns. Not to control every second, but to protect what matters. Once your system is in place, your life flows. You're not chasing order, you're creating it. You trade chaos for clarity, hustle for rhythm, overwhelm for strategy. You build something that lasts. You've learned that success isn't about random action. It's about alignment. That motivation fades, but structure endures. That systems aren't limits, they're freedom. You've seen that your standards define your ceiling. That your environment is either your fuel or your anchor. That your decisions shape your direction. That your behavior repeated becomes your identity. And now you know. Systems are what make it sustainable. The transformation doesn't come from hearing the truth. It comes from living it. These lessons only work if they become your rhythm, your process, your new normal. This isn't about doing everything at once. It's about picking one thing. One standard to raise, one habit to repeat, one system to implement. And starting now, that's how success is built. One moment of alignment at a time. You don't need more time. You need more truth, more commitment. The clock is running. Your window is open. It's time to stop waiting and start designing the life you said you wanted? Not someday. Now.